On tonight's Gwinnett Prep Rally, it's spring break time for the local soccer teams, but the state playoffs are right around the corner. On the boys' side, Collins Hill and Mill Creek are battling it out for the top spot in Region 7, while a pair of familiar foes remain unbeaten in Region 8. It's a three-way tie on the ladies' side of Region 7, with the Bulldogs, Hawks, and Lions all trying to claim the top seed, and in Region 8, it's the Parkview Lady Panthers sitting all alone at the top. Plus, we'll break down all the teams in AA and Single A and introduce you to 4 key players that hope to lead their squads to the ultimate prize. We're breaking down all things soccer on this edition of Gwinnett Prep Rally, and it starts right now.
For more than 15 years, your source for Gwinnett County sports is Gwinnett Prep Rally.
Hello again and welcome to your county's original high school sports television program. This is Gwinnett Prep Rally now in its 19th season, and we can be seen right here on GCPS TV for the entire 2011-2012 school year. I'm Todd Klein alongside Will Hammock from the Gwinnett Daily Post. And Will, Gwinnett soccer teams were unable to capture a state title at any level last season, so will the outcome be different in 2012?
I think it's safe to say it will. I mean, that was kind of just the odd year. Every year Gwinnett seems like winning multiple state championships in soccer, and last year was really just kind of a crazy year. I think we were all shocked with how it went, but certainly some teams made great runs at championships last year, and I think we're going to see some teams breaking through this year and bringing the state titles home to Gwinnett.
Well, most teams around the county are getting time off from action this week for spring break, so we're going to take a look at the top contenders from each region. It's brought to you by Breda Pest Management, and we begin in Region 7 with the North Gwinnett Lady Bulldogs.
Yeah, this is a team with a lot of playoff experience, really more playoff experience than anybody around. They played been the premier program really in 5A for Gwinnett the last couple of seasons. Lauren Harriman's an excellent player. Mackenzie Lola really anchors that defense. I really like what this team can do. They have a new coach this year in Eric Crawford, but he's been around the program. He knows what it takes for success, and they're going to be right in the mix once the state playoffs get going.
Well, when you talk about a team that's really come onto the scene, it's Mill Creek, Will.
Yeah, Brent Leish has done a good job since he's up there. They've kind of built that program up, and to be one of the state powerhouses, they had a great season last year. They're state ranked at the moment right now. Lauren Tanner's a really exciting offensive player. She does a lot for that team, but they're right up there in the top of the region standings. And if you're one of the better teams in Region 7, you're going to be one of the best teams in the state of Georgia.
And the reason is the depth, Will. Collins Hill is another strong program in Region 7.
Yeah, their record's kind of been surprising to me. They've lost some tough ones. I think they're probably, coming into the season, I thought they're maybe one of the more talented teams in the state. But I think they're going to put it together here in the playoffs and make a good run. They have a lot of talent over there. They have some proven players that have been around. Mariah Dickey scored a lot of big goals for that program the last couple of years.
And then keeping with that depth, Peachtree Ridge, another very talented team in Region 7.
Yeah, this is a team that's kind of come out of nowhere, I think, in the region. Coach Holloman is retiring after this year, Bill Holloman, and he's a guy that's done a great job over there. And this team really is overachieving, really working hard. Katie Lippett leads what is a very strong defense, and I think defense is going to be key for the Lions as they go forward and hopefully make a state playoff run.
And Will, you talked about Mill Creek, state ranked, playing very well. My question is about North Gwinnett. Like you said, a new coach, maybe even though he's been around, have to get used to the new program a little bit. Do you see North Gwinnett maybe improving even more and more as we get closer to tournament time?
I think so. They got off to kind of a slow start. They hit a little skid there at the beginning of the season, and that happens sometimes with a new coach. But really, they had a lot of new faces in the lineup, too, that they were breaking in. And but some of the veteran players that have been around a long time, they're really starting to settle this team down. And I think when you see the playoffs come around, North Gwinnett's going to be a team that's going to be a tough out in the playoffs.
And then, Will, talking about that, we've seen Region 7 be so tough. You talked about Collins Hill's record's a little bit surprising. Peachtree Ridge's is a little bit surprising for a different reason, but there's so much depth there. Do you see it being another type of year where even a third or fourth seed from this region can make a really nice push into the state playoffs?
Yeah, I think the main thing in this region is just to get to the state playoffs. That kind of happens every year in Region 7 and in a lot of different sports, but that's the key, just to get to the playoffs. I think any of these 4 teams, depending on the draw, could make a great run. I mean, you could see them meeting again in the playoffs. I know North Gwinnett and Mill Creek had a good showdown in the semifinals last year in the state, so that could happen again this season.
Time now to take a look at the top girls teams in Region 8. It's brought to you by Next Star Communication, and we start off with the Brookwood Lady Broncos.
Yeah, they've had a pretty good start. They had kind of a surprising loss, tough one to Grayson. They had trouble scoring goals last year, even when Moshita Blackman wasn't in the lineup, and losing her. It's really tough for this team to score, but really once region play got going, they've stepped it up. I think that there's a lot of talent over there, as always. So I think the Broncos are a team that can definitely make it to the state playoffs, and really going to be fighting it out for that region title down the stretch.
Well, in this region, you're always talking about Parkview, whether it's the girls or the boys, and Parkview Panther girls are the last team undefeated in region play.
Yeah, great start for Coach Hamby and this team. It's kind of they had almost everybody back. They had 9 regulars, I think, back from last year's team. They were kind of disappointed last year. They were 10-9 and lost in the first round of the state playoffs, which not really Parkview-like, but they have a lot of girls back, and they're turning it around this year.
I guess it's the same story in Region 8 as Region 7, Will. The depth is just very good. You talked about Grayson beating Brookwood. Grayson, another very talented program.
Yeah, I think for Grayson, a lot of their success involves the defense. Jessica Allen's one of the better defenders around, but just that team defense as a whole really does a good job over at Grayson, and it's been that way for the last several years. They're really hard to score against. That's led to a lot of success.
And then finally, look at that 10-2-1 record for Decula.
Yeah, they're coached by Jason Gazzardo, a former Berkmar soccer player and football player back in the day, and he's done a great job over at Decula. They have a nice soccer club over there in Decula that really feeds this program and have a lot of young talent on this team. I think some of the better players in Gwinnett. Really, this is a team maybe a lot of people didn't expect, but I kind of saw this team coming on. I thought that was going to be a pretty good season for them, and they've proven me right.
Yeah, like you said, Will, I think for people that are used to just the same old, Decula is a big surprise. How good are the Falcons?
It's tough to say. I'm looking forward to seeing them play some of the bigger teams in the region here as we close, just to see how they hang with them. I think they've proven they play with some of the big boys in the state, so we'll see once the playoffs get going. I know they're going to have a lot to prove. They're kind of the young program that nobody knows what to expect from them, so they're going to show what kind of program they are, and I look forward to seeing that.
And then again, Will, it's early in the season, but Parkview has situated itself nicely. Do you see the Panthers taking the crown? Yeah,
they're one of the better, more well-coached teams around. I think Coach Hamby does a great job year in and year out, and they certainly have more talent some years. Maybe not one of his more talented teams, but there's definitely plenty of talent, enough talent to make a good postseason run. Whether or not they can win a state title, I don't know, but it's going to be great to see how far they can go.
Well, let's turn our attention to the boys' squads around the county. It's brought to you by Britt's Home Furnishing, and we kick things off with Region 7 and the Collins Hill Eagles.
We talked about North Gwinnett being the premier girls program in 5A. I think Collins Hill has easily been the premier 5A boys program. They've been to 4 straight state championship games over there, winning 2 of them. So really just an exceptional run of talent going through Collins Hill right now. They've got some talented playmakers. Emmanuel Raji's one of the best goal scorers in the county. Just really a lot of depth, and like North Gwinnett, a lot of playoff experience.
Another team playing some good soccer, Mill Creek, off to a 10-2 start.
Yeah, they're having the best season in school history. They really have a lot of talent over there, too. I've been impressed with Tony Baza, Nick Montaigne. Those guys are really good playmakers that spark this team, and they really get a lot of offensive firepower out of this group. And I think they're going to be able to play with anybody once the state playoffs get going. They've proven they can play with the big boys these last few years, so it's a great season for them.
And then we have Duluth, 8-3-2 overall, 3-2 in the region, but very tough out in the region.
Yeah, Duluth's had a lot of success over the last several years. I mean, they've been maybe down the last year or two, but they're really cycling back up. I think really been the surprise team in the region right now, 3-2. 8-3-2 overall is a pretty good record. They really have been playing hard and playing well. I look for big things the rest of the week.
And finally, North Gwinnett, their overall record isn't that great, but they are the one team in the region that has beaten Collins Hill.
Yeah, like the North Gwinnett girls got off to a slow start there, but they've really been turning it on. They've got big wins lately over Collins Hill and Peachtree Ridge. I mean, those are some of the more premier teams in the region, so that's a great way to get yourself in a playoff position. So I look for North Gwinnett with those 2 big wins to be able to get into the postseason.
And looking at the quality teams in this field, Will, in this region, you look at Collins Hill, like you talked about, so talented, and then Mill Creek, that's a surprise. Those 2 teams meet at the end of the season. Do you think they both will be there? We expect probably Collins Hill to still be there, but will Collins Hill, Mill Creek at the end of the season be for a region title?
I think it will be. I look for that game to be the showdown. I think Mill Creek's really been kind of looking forward to that game to see how they fare against Collins Hill. Everybody kind of looks to Collins Hill as the premier team, not only in the region but the state. So Mill Creek wants to take the shot and see what they can do and see if the Hawks can come out with a region title.
And then I'm kind of interested in Duluth. Will they have that nice win over North Gwinnett? Over Mill Creek. Talk about how good Duluth is and what kind of run they can maybe make in the state tournament.
I think they'll do really well. They're a very tough, very physical team. They're going to hustle. Coach Devani always has them playing hard over there. So I've been really impressed with what they've been able to do this season. I think they've already shown by getting that big victory that they can play with anybody in this region. So they're not going to be a pushover, and even when the state playoffs get going, not going to be an easy out.
Well, there was a time not too long ago that the Region 8 teams were dominating the state soccer scene. So can any of the top 4 contenders for a state championship make a run at that? It's brought to you by Tommy Lee Carpets, and we begin with the Brookwood Broncos.
I think Brookwood's right up there with Collins Hill as our top 2 boys teams in the county. I think they're the favorite for the Region 8 title. Right now ranked number 3 in 5A. It's one of the stronger teams Coach Kleineck's had in several years. Very strong defensively. They also have some great offensive playmakers. I think Trevor Mooney's a guy that's having a great season. And obviously, he loves to play strong defense over there, so it's going to be tough to score against the Broncos.
Well, also with an unbeaten region mark is their Brookwood's rival, Parkview.
Yeah, not really surprised. We might see another Brookwood-Parkview showdown for the region title. Parkview's had a great season last year, made the state semifinals. I know they lost some quality players off that team, but here they are back once again, where Parkview Soccer expects to be. We're playing for a region championship in Region 8, and I think we're going to see that. We're going to see a showdown with Brookwood here late in the season.
And then there's Central Gwinnett, 5-1 in the region, not too shabby.
I think it's safe to say they're the surprise team in the region. They really didn't know what they were going to have coming in, but have really put together an impressive season. I think Charlie Deloche is having one of the better seasons around as Central's goalkeeper. He's having to make a lot of teams, a lot of saves, but this is a hard-working team. Coach Allen does a good job over there, and I really think they have high hopes and certainly going to be a state playoff team.
And then finally, talking about Decula, having a pretty solid season, but like you said, in a very tough region.
Yeah, they're going to have to beat Central probably. They're going to have some tough games down the stretch. They still have to play Brookwood, so it's going to be a tough run for Decula, but Decula, like the girls team, they have a good soccer club over there that funnels some talent into that program. So I've been impressed with Coach Burrell, what he's been able to do over there, so looking forward to a good finish for the Falcons.
Well, we'll start off talking about that Brookwood team and just how good are they. I know they lost to Centennial, but when it comes time for the big games at the end of the year, I think this is a very tested team.
Yeah, they've really turned it on. There's a lot of good seniors on this team, definitely a lot of talent. I think they take a lot of pride and success in the history of the program, and I think they really want to add another chapter to it this year. So I think in the playoffs, it's been kind of disappointing finishes the last couple of years, but so it'd be nice to see the Broncos make a deep playoff run.
And Will, we didn't see video of them here, but South Gwinnett, let's talk a little bit about the South Gwinnett boys.
Yeah, they've really come on, having a great season. It's really been kind of a turnaround. That's a program that's been down for quite some time, but they're really starting to cycle back up and really play with some of the big boys in the region, maybe put a scare into those teams. And it's a team that I think right there with Decula could push its way into the playoffs.
Well, Gwinnett teams have had a lot of success in Class AA and Single A, especially when it comes to the girls' squads. And we start off with the GAC Lady Spartans.
Yeah, this may be our most talented overall girls team in the county. I mean, they're pretty loaded with talent. They have 3 juniors that are really high-level Division I players. I think Rachel Garcia leads the way. She's going to Georgia. Excellent goal scorer. They scored a big win over Buford right before the break there. So I think the Spartans have a lot to look forward to this season. I think it would surprise me if they didn't win a state championship this year. They're really loaded, and really, if they can put it together this year, they can win their first state title.
And then let's talk about Wesleyan and Wesleyan's quality.
Yeah, Wesleyan's an excellent team. I think they got off to a little bit of a struggle. They got off to a good start. They've been kind of losing some things, but I think they can put it together here at the end of the season. Hannah Duane's really a veteran goalkeeper. She's made a lot of saves, and I think really a lot of people on this team have played a lot of soccer.
And then we'll also talk about Providence. You go down to Class A, and the Providence is a very big-time team as well.
Yeah, this is a team that's maybe been down for a couple of seasons. I mean, for years, they were the marquee Class A girls program in Gwinnett, and I think you're seeing them cycle back up to that level, really coming back to a powerhouse. Their losses have been to very good teams. Lost to Fellowship, that's number 2, and Paideia, number 3, so there's a lot of talent over there for the Stars.
I want to go back, Will, and talk to you a little bit about GAC. You talked about maybe the most talented girls team in the county. Could they compete even in the Region 7 and Region 8? Are they that good?
Yeah, definitely so. I mean, I think they'd be right up there playing for a region title in Region 7 and 8. I think soccer's a sport that really, the classifications don't really matter. Depth doesn't matter that much, and as far as top-level talent, GAC is right there with some of the better teams in the county, which is why I think they'll be the favorite for the AA state title.
And in the girls' programs, I want to talk to you a little bit about, we'll talk about Buford and Hebron and how they're looking this season.
Yeah, they're having good seasons too. I mean, I think Buford put a pretty good test into GAC. I know GAC was missing a couple of key players, but Buford really showed a lot in that one. Hebron's really kind of something that's a team that's sneaking under the radar. They have a top-level talented forward, Alexa Allen, that's going to Auburn. She's an excellent player that they kind of build around, but they've really dominated that region they're in. They're going to be in the state playoffs, and I think they have a chance to go pretty far.
Well, let's finish up our team previews with the boys' teams in Double and Single A, and we'll start off with the GAC Spartans.
They really got the program rolling over there. Year in and year out, you can expect this team to go deep in the state playoffs, win a lot of ball games. They lost a lot off their team last year, but really a good influx of young talent is helping this team really play at a high level. I think they got some good young freshmen that have stepped right into play and play big roles. They're ranked number 4 in the state right now, and I think at the end of the season you can expect this team to be pushing for a state championship.
And they might have to push past the Buford Wolves, who are also highly ranked in Class AA.
Yeah, they scored a big win over, or GAC scored a big win over Buford, but Buford really, outside of that, has been playing great. Escardo Arroyo is one of the more exciting offensive players in the county. He put a lot of heat on the GAC goal early. GAC really had to outscore Buford to win that game, so a lot of offensive firepower, and I think Baxter Argo is the underrated goalkeeper up there.
And then finally, the Wesleyan boys off to a nice start.
Yeah, another team that really maybe didn't know what to expect. They've really made a change. Eric Sunderman, who's their really good goalie from the past few seasons, they moved him to offense, and he's really sparked the offense. They've been able to make the change at goalkeeper, and he's given a lift on the offensive end, and I think that's a big reason why they've been so successful here early in the season. Just a nice job of doing what they needed to do with their talent to win ball games.
And we talk about, Will, kind of in the bigger regions, how there's always that chance for a rematch. Is there any chance that we'll see Buford and GAC boys hooking up maybe in the state semifinals?
I wouldn't be surprised to see them down the road. I think Buford's really, it's a program that's done well over the years, but really it's tough to get out of that region. They play in such a tough region, but Buford's got the talent this year. I think the talent and the depth to go a long way. And we talked about GAC is definitely going to be there again, so it could be an interesting matchup in the playoffs.
Well, we talked about Westland a little bit. I want to get your take on the Providence boys in Class A.
Yeah, Providence boys, another underrated team. I think you can see them pushing for a state title. They have a lot of veteran talent on this team, guys that have been around for a long time. Guys like Caleb McQuaig, Taylor Henry, those guys are very experienced players. They got a couple of good guys that come in and help the program, and Coach Henry does a good job over there, and I think their definite goal is a state championship.
Well, we've taken a look at the top teams, so let's talk about some of the top players that will be leading their squads into the state playoffs. And we'll start off with Brookwood's Adrian Allaby.
Yeah, he's a guy that's a very talented offensive player. He's going to Stanford and just one of the more exciting offensive players in Gwinnett. I think he's going to have to carry a lot of a scoring load in the playoffs when you get in these tight 0-0, 1-1 games. He's a guy that's really going to have to deliver and score goals for the Broncos if they want to push for a state championship, which I know is their goal. And he's an exciting offensive player. I really think he's got a bright future out of Stanford.
And then we talked about Collins Hill earlier. One of the reasons they're so good is Emmanuel Raji.
Yeah, he's going to Georgia Southern. Really been a prolific goal scorer at the high school level. He's tough to handle, a big, strong kid who also knows how to finish very well. He's a guy that's really very creative in the box, just finds a way to put the ball in the net, and he's done that for the past several years at Collins Hill. He's going to have to do it again when the postseason gets going, when the goals are so precious.
And then we move over to the girls' side, Will, and Lauren Hireman is going to play a large role in North's success.
Yeah, Lauren's played a lot of playoff soccer. She's going to Georgia State. She's a very experienced player. She's one of those girls that's played a whole lot of soccer for this team, really been a big-time contributor since her freshman season. She's a very experienced player. She can play a lot of different positions. You'll see her play up top, some in the midfield, and she's an excellent player.
And then finally, we'll go back to Collins Hill and Eli Carrasco, another very talented player for the Eagles.
Yeah, just a junior. He's already committed to UNC. I think we could have said last year when he was a sophomore, he's one of the better players in Gwinnett County. He's so quick, got that great left foot, very creative. Not only a good finisher, but just in the open field, 1v1, he's very tough to stop. So I think Eli's got a bright future.
And Will, a lot of talented players in this county, but maybe is there one other guy and one other girl player that maybe we can mention to keep an eye out for the rest of the season?
I think for the girls, it's got to be Rachel Garcia. I mean, she's a girl that scored a lot of big goals for GAC. She's been an excellent player. I think down the road, you're going to see her standing out in the SEC, but I know her focus right now is getting the state championship here and finishing off her junior year right. She's an excellent ball player.
Well, all right, we're out of time, but you can visit us online at GwinnettPrepRally.com for the world-famous message board and video highlights. You can also keep up with GPR on Twitter and on our Facebook fan page. So be sure to join us next week for more highlights and features on Gwinnett Prep Rally every Tuesday through Friday right here on GCPS TV. For Will Hammock and all of us here at GPR, I'm Todd Klein. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you under the lights.
Grab some wood there, bub.